Imagine the roar of the crowd,
Yeah.
the height of the jump, and then just that sickening thud and absolute silence.
Chilling.
Yeah. For a split second, everything just hangs there. So today, we're not really breaking down stats or plays.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive into one single, pretty harrowing moment. Jaylen Wells being stretchered off after that terrifying fall against the Hornets. We really want to explore sort of the gravity of it all and the human response it provoked. And we're drawing this from a piece called A Moment That Stopped the Game. Jaylen Wells' courage in the face of fear.
That title really sets the scene, doesn't it? It tells you straight away this isn't just about basketball.
Exactly. It's about something, well, bigger. The piece describes his drive, the dunk attempt. The height was incredible.
Yeah.
And then that awful impact, head hitting the floor. And that silence. The narrator called it a moment where everything stops.
That silence is powerful, isn't it? In a packed arena full of noise, for it all to just stop.
It really speaks volumes.
It's like a collective holding of breath. Everyone's suddenly aware of the danger involved in what these athletes do.
Right. And the piece really zooms in on the reactions then, the crowd's muffled gasp.
Yeah.
A teammate, hand over his mouth, whispering, "Oh, no, Jaylen." And the trainers were right there, instantly.
Of course.
It emphasizes how, the game itself just vanished for a moment. It was all of his well-being.
It's a stark reminder, I think. We see the highlights, the amazing plays, but there's a real vulnerability there, too.
Definitely. Then those really tense moments as he's lying motionless. The narrator mentions focusing on him being alive but hurt.
That waiting must have felt like forever.
Oh, absolutely. But then the sign of hope. His hand twitches. And then slowly his thumb comes up.
Yeah. That must have been such a huge relief.
The piece describes relieved applause, people crying even, just from that one small gesture.
Why do you think that thumb lift was so, monumental in that moment? Well, in all that uncertainty, that fear, it was communication, wasn't it? A simple signal that cut through everything. Like, I'm here, I'm fighting.
Yeah.
It gave everyone permission to exhale, a visible sign of resilience.
And the arena's response? It was unified. Teammates wiping eyes, opponents bowing heads, coaches clapping. The usual rivalries just gone.
And dissolved.
It wasn't about Hornets or Wizards anymore. It was just people worried about another person.
It really shows that shared empathy, doesn't it? When something serious happens, those competitive lines, they just blur. Our basic human concern takes over.
And the image of him being stretchered off, hands still raised.
Still raised, yeah.
The crowd chanting his name. Jaylen, Jaylen. The piece frames that as this powerful symbol of his courage, defiant almost.
It really is. That image, the raised hand and the chant.
Yeah.
It captures that whole emotional arc, from fear to hope to, respect. It's resilience made visible.
Yeah, exactly. And the piece wraps up with that text on screen. The game will go on, but today, basketball took a backseat to something bigger. And then just that one word, respect.
Yeah, it nails it. It shows that sports, beyond the competition, can tap into something deeper about us, about shared values.
So yeah, looking closely at just this one incident, it really reveals a lot about raw human emotion, that sense of community that can just suddenly appear, even in pro sports.
Absolutely. And it makes you think, doesn't it? We watch for the skill, the excitement, but these are people putting their bodies on the line every night.
For sure.
What does a moment like this shared vulnerability and relief, actually tell us about our own connection to the sports we follow, and maybe to the athletes themselves? Something to consider, perhaps. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking closely at a really powerful moment, Jaylen Wells' scary fall after that dunk attempt against the Hornets. We've got this visual and narrative account, and it really hits home, showing the gravity of it all and, the immediate human reactions.
Absolutely. And what grabs you right away in the source is that that sudden change, the build-up, the energy of the dunk, and then bam, it just shifts completely to concern. Real fear, actually. That slow motion replay they show at the start, it almost sets you up for how quickly things can change in sports.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about right after the fall. The account paints this picture of Wells just lying there, motionless. You can almost feel that collective silence, can't you?
Definitely. And the training staff, they're on him immediately. The narrator points out something important too, Wells' dedication. Fought for every minute, never missed a game.
Right. That detail, it really emphasizes what's potentially on the line there. It's not just any player.
Exactly. And suddenly, It's not really about a basketball game anymore, is it? The focus snaps right to this person's well-being. Highlighting his commitment makes that image of him lying still. Well, it makes it hit harder. Humanizes it instantly.
And the teammates' reactions, the source describes just shocks, some praying, others just can't look.
Yeah.
And that detail about the muffled crowd noise with that distant, oh my God. It really paints a picture of the tension in the arena, like time stopped.
It does. And it's striking how universal that reaction is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you support at that point. The concern for the individual just takes over. Seeing the teammates so distressed really speaks to those bonds and maybe the shared risks they all face.
Then you see the medical response kicking in, both team staffs working together, the stretcher comes out.
Coordinated effort.
And the narrator says their effort wasn't for victory anymore, but for hope. That's a powerful way to put it. Reframes the whole scene.
It really does. It highlights something fundamental about sports, I think. Even in the heat of competition, health and safety can instantly become the absolute priority. That collaboration, it shows the protocol, sure, but also just basic human concern. It cuts through the rivalry.
And then there's this moment with the fans. Amidst all that tension, someone shouts, "We love you, Jaylen."
Yeah, I remember reading that.
And then the applause as they're moving him. It's quite moving. The narrator notes it wasn't for the game, but for a life. That really lands.
But collective support.
Yeah.
It reminds you, fans are invested in these people, not just the players, right? In that moment, everyone's just united, worrying about him. It's pure empathy on display.
And then that image, the slow motion shot of Wells giving a thumbs up while he's on the stretcher.
Ah, yes.
Such a small thing, but after everything that just happened, it feels huge. Uplifting, but still really emotional.
That thumbs up, it becomes this symbol, doesn't it? Resilience, maybe, reassurance for everyone watching. It kind of lets everyone breathe out for a second, offers that little glimmer of hope.
Yeah. And the account wraps up with that text on screen. Jaylen Wells, #StayStrong. Then it fades to black. Just a single piano note. Really captures the seriousness, but holds onto that hope you mentioned.
Exactly. That ending, the message, the music, it leaves you with the weight of it. It really drives home the human side of this whole thing and that collective wish for his recovery.
So looking back at this deep dive, it really lays bare those raw human emotions that come out in sports during adversity. It's about how quickly the focus shifts from the game to the person.
Absolutely. It makes you think about, the fragility within these high-stakes environments and how one moment can just change everything, pull everyone together in this profound way. What does that immediate, almost instinctive empathy tell us about ourselves, especially in the context of competition?
That's a great question to ponder. Thanks for exploring that moment with me.